Hi there! Thank you so much again for joining me on this channel. As always, I'm very grateful for all your previous views, likes, subscriptions and shares. It's Pride Month and I'm looking forward to sharing with you some of the LGBTQI plus religious trailblazers that I've been looking at over the past few days. It was a privilege to find out more about these extraordinary individuals and how they have been trailblazers. As always, we'll be looking at these faiths in alphabetical order to show parity of esteem. A beautiful image here of the Buddha for us to look at Buddhism. Note the wonderful rainbow colours. You can see as well some other symbols, such as the lotus flowers and the three jewels. This is Tashi Choedup, a Buddhist monk. Growing up as a child in the 1990s, they were drawn not only to the religion of Hinduism, but also the teachings of Buddha and Jesus in Christianity. Tashi also had a deep sense of wanting to lead a monastic lifestyle. In other words, joining a group of like-minded, committed individuals who wanted to practice their faith. Tashi says that within the Buddhist philosophy, they found a sense of home, a sense of belonging. A core part of Tashi's work is campaigning for equality and human rights. They are also a student of Buddhist philosophy and psychology. Faith, religion, mental health and community building are some of the interests that Tashi has and is campaigning and working hard to raise awareness of. I was really struck by this quote from Tashi. They say, "I believe that my faith has helped me with my queerness and my queerness helps me in making my faith inclusive." There's an almost symbiotic relationship between Tashi and the Buddhist religion. Just as powerful is how they see their sexuality as being a powerful example of working within the Buddhist faith to help it make it more inclusive and a safe space. Next is Christianity and this very cool image of the cross being bathed in a rainbow. This is Reverend Rachel Mann. She is a vicar in the Church of England, sometimes called the Anglican Church. She is a writer, broadcaster and theologian. Theologian is someone who spends their time studying and reading up and trying to understand who God is. Rachel is also a trans woman. This means when she was born, she was assigned male at birth. She was called Nick. She says that even at a young age, from the age of 4, she never felt entirely comfortable in her own body. At the age of 22, she took the decision to transition from a man into a woman. She became a priest in the Church of England in 2006. As well as being involved in the church, she's also a skilled poet. She is a writer for the Church Times. She's written numerous books. She contributes regularly to Pause for Thought on BBC Radio, and she's a fan too of metal music and writes about that. I was really drawn to this quote where she says, "What I don't understand is that urge to condemn people to hell or a place of pain. It amazes me how many Christians do this. To me, it's the opposite of what Jesus was about. In Christ, there is no condemnation. It's no one's job to be going around judging people. Our job is to love people." It's a really striking summary of the Christian faith. And I think it shows you as well how committed Reverend Rachel Mann is to showing everybody that a core part of the Christian faith is not there to judge, but actually to love others in the same way that Jesus did. Hinduism, and this is the Om symbol in Hinduism, the sacred sound of creation. And this is Sushma Dwivedi Jindal, a remarkable woman who lives in New York. Sushma is a Hindu priest, and there aren't many female Hindu priests. If that wasn't extraordinary enough, she's also fully committed to ensuring that those in the LGBTQI plus community are represented in terms of having marriage ceremonies and being treated equally in the Hindu faith. It started in 2013. A trans member of Sushma's family was trying to get married, and they were struggling to find a priest who would officiate a wedding. Sushma took matters into her own hands and decided to become a priest herself. Sushma set up the Purple Pundit project, which basically runs progressive and inclusive Hindu rituals. As part of her campaigns and work, she says this: right now, it's hard to find Hindu pundits who are progressive, inclusive, LGBTQ friendly, or heck, female. I'm really hoping that changes in the next 5 years. I would love nothing more than to be rendered completely obsolete. Sounds like a slightly strange thing to say, wishing yourself to be obsolete. But the point that Sushma is making is that hopefully one day in the future there'll be a time when there won't need to be any campaigns for equality or fairness, because everybody will be treated fairly and there will be equality. Next we have Islam, and here we have the traditional symbol of Islam, which is the crescent moon and the five-pointed star. This is Karkan Manur Qureshi, and he is a British gay Muslim. He was born into a traditional Muslim family in the UK, and he was very fearful of being rejected and negative consequences because of his sexuality. However, eventually he took the pathway of being honest with himself and honest with his family and telling them about his sexuality. He founded an organisation called Finding a Voice, which is based in the city of Birmingham. The group was set up to help support particularly those in the South Asian LGBTQI+ community, to help build bridges and campaign for equality. His work in 2019, Karkan was awarded the British Empire Medal. On his campaigns and work, he says this: I believe we should continue to engage in dialogue, present ourselves as noble rainbow warriors, and educate others to make our communities a better place. It's a great phrase, isn't it? Noble rainbow warriors. I'm really struck too about how he emphasises to engage in dialogue. Progress is only going to be made, and this stands for all fields of life, through listening to each other. Our next religious trailblazer is in the Jewish faith. This is Rabbi Mike Moskowitz. Rabbi Mike is ordained in the Orthodox tradition of Judaism. Orthodox means that you follow the traditions. Rabbi Mike was challenged a few years ago when a member of his family was transitioning. He doesn't say if they're transitioning from male to female or female to male. He obviously wants to respect their privacy. But it really got him thinking about the role of gender and how that fits in with the Jewish faith. He became an ally of the transgender community, and it did lead him to losing his job. He worked as a rabbi at Columbia State University. He had been writing letters to Jewish schools that had been threatening to expel transgender students. His employers found out, and they told him, if you don't stop, you'll have to leave. He refused to back down and was fired as a result. That hasn't stopped him, and he's still a prominent voice working towards a progressive and inclusive form of Judaism. With regards to his campaigns and work, he's a very prolific author on the topic of inclusivity. And he says this about the Torah, which is the holy laws in the Jewish faith. The Torah is eternal, infinite, and given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. Part of what that means to me is that God spoke to Moses about the trans experience within Jewish thought and Jewish law. There is no consensus yet on the issue, but there is a very urgent need to provide safe spaces. It's the way he talks about safe spaces, a place where people can be who they are, feel comfortable to talk about their journey, and also feel as though that the Jewish faith is there to support them. And finally, we shall look at religious trailblazers in the Sikh faith. Here is traditional Sikh symbol in fantastic rainbow colours. Sukhdeep Singh is a gay Sikh who set up an online magazine called Galaxy, the first of its kind in India. Talking about his childhood, Sukhdeep highlights how, although his parents didn't bring him up with strict religious codes, they always took him to the Gurdwara. He says he found the idea of Sikh both accommodating and inclusive. Galaxy magazine has been a great opportunity for people from the LGBTQI+ community to share ideas, stories, to communicate, and to put their voice forward. It's also been particularly important for those in rural communities who perhaps don't meet other people who are like themselves. This lovely photo of Sukhdeep was taken when he visited the Golden Temple in Amritsar. He is wearing a turban with rainbow colours. Apparently, he says it took him over an hour and a half to put together the turban. As part of his campaigns and work, he's also made a documentary feature called Sab Barab de Bande, which is about the gay Sikh community. I was really struck by this quote that he offered. Courage can be very infectious. And so often it just takes one individual to poke their head above the parapet to say, I think we should be doing this, or I think this isn't fair, or I think this is a better way forward. And other people can be inspired. And that's why he's, of course, a religious trailblazer. So, as always, I need to apologise for my terrible pronunciation and know that this has not been an in-depth look at every single one of these individuals. Please do feel free to research them yourselves, and you'll find out a lot more detail about who they are, their work, and what their campaigns are all about. However you mark Pride Month, I hope it is a good and a safe one for you. Until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, enjoy your learning.